Hello everyone, good afternoon. Today we are going to go on our module over writing and more specifically on the differences between formal and informal writing. But particularly, we're going to go through the topic of writing reviews. So today's objectives are focused on identifying first the differences between formal and informal writing, but also on understanding the features of review writing. These may happen among several cases and different scenarios, which is part of what we are going to check out today. So let's get started. Reviews, in general terms, are a critical appraisal published either online or in a newspaper or magazine. Nowadays, we find reviews pretty much everywhere. We find them mostly on blogs on the net, but we also find them on our social media everywhere. Traditionally, a review can be referring to a book, to an event like a concert or show, to a film or naturally a movie, or even sometimes a television show. But also nowadays we find reviews that are related to several other sorts of activities, like purchases, like tradespeople, like restaurants, venues, and other sorts of events. So the world of writing reviews have come wider every time. And basically the idea of a review is to advise others whether to visit, buy, watch, read, or otherwise engage in a particular type of activity. So the idea of you as a reviewer is to share with the reader what is the particular experience that you have had with this activity and whether you would recommend it or not. Naturally, there are certain specificities towards how to write an appropriate review, what sorts of elements should you consider, and of course, whether you should write it in an informal or a formal language. All of that is part of what we are going to be covering today. It is also important to consider that a good review is one that other people will find helpful towards making their own decision, right? So when a person reads a review, eventually they are hoping to identify or to know whether it is good for them to do certain activity or to watch certain movie or to read certain book or not, considering of course their own tastes, but especially your review, your experience, and how you stand over that particular experience. So it is very important to consider what information people might need to make such decision. To start off, we are going to check out a couple of examples, and we are going to try to identify how the language is being used in both of these examples. I would like you to keep in mind when we are looking at the examples these four different questions. First, what do you see in terms of the language and the format that is being used? Second, who do you think these reviews are meant for? The difference between both of them and to whom they are addressed might help you identify also which type of language is more appropriate. What is the purpose of each one of them? What are they aiming for? And finally, where do you think these reviews would be published? Most likely, where would you find them? So let's begin with the first one. The first one is this one over here. So we have the review of a movie right here. And it is divided into two parts. This first part that introduces the movie, right? It's a review about the first movie that was the first movie of Black Panther by Marvel. And in here we have three other paragraphs that complete such review. So very quickly, I'm going to read it so that you can identify it. I want you to pay attention to the format. It includes the trailer of the movie, it includes the year in which it was released, the type of genre, it includes the length of the movie, a star rating, and in this case, that star rating is associated to the IMDb webpage. So it says as follows. Have you ever felt like the beats of a song can transport you to a different place? Even more, have you ever felt like you are part of the movie just because of the music it plays? Well, that's the case with Black Panther. Released in 2018, Black Panther was produced by Marvel Studios and directed by Ryan Coogler. It stars Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, and Lupita Nyong'o, among others. It tells the story of Prince T'Challa, heir to the kingdom of Wakanda, who must defend his title and lead his country into the future. The soundtrack was recorded in 2017 and it includes mainly hip-hop, trap, and pop rap genres, where various artists participated. It was produced by Ludwig Göransson, who won a Grammy Award in 2019 for Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media. I recommend this movie for all ages and any Marvel franchise lover. If you want to have a great time and enjoy some great compositions, this is the movie for you. Plus, the performance by the actors is amazing. No wonder why the New York Times said that Black Panther shook up the Marvel Universe. So that's the first one we've got. And the second one is right here. Why have we devoted an entire section of this article? This is an article related precisely to how to write reviews. To talk about an article review sample, you may wonder. Not all of you may recognize it, but in fact, looking through several solid examples of review articles is actually an essential step for your writing process, and we will try to tell you why. Looking through relevant article review examples can be beneficial for you in the following ways. A. To get you introduced to the key works of experts in your field. B. To help you identify the key people engaged in a particular field of science. C. To help you define what significant discoveries and advances were made in your field. D. To help you unveil the major gaps within the existing knowledge of your field, which contributes to finding fresh solutions. E. To help you find solid reference and arguments for your own review. F. To help you generate some ideas about any further field of research. G. To help you gain a better understanding of the area and become an expert in this specific field. And H. To get a clear idea of how to write a good review. As you can see, reading a few examples can be extremely beneficial for you. Therefore, the best way to learn how to write this kind of paper is to look for an article review example online that matches your grade level. So, as you can see, we have two different examples. One is the review of a movie, the other one is the review of an article per se, more specifically an academic article. In both of them, you may find differences in terms of format and in terms of language. So here it comes to the key part. When we are writing in English, there are two main styles of writing, the formal and the informal. The primary purpose of formal language writing is to achieve clarity and sophistication. In the case of creative pieces and persuasive pieces like reviews, most of these ones can be written informally. These are the examples like some reviews, some advertisements, and some personal diaries. Over here, we have some differences that you might have spotted with the two examples that I showed you before. These are between formal and informal writing. I would like you to go through this table so that you can identify which are those key elements that go from one to the other. In terms of purpose, again, both reviews have the idea or the intent to give and provide some sort of advice to the reader, whether it is to check out examples or to watch a movie. Okay? It depends naturally on the field. Both of them are aimed to a specific audience. The first one about the movie was aimed to general audience, while the second one was aimed for a more academic audience, perhaps graduate students or even undergraduate students. And finally, where would they be published? Well, the movie review could be published pretty much everywhere, but based on the format, we most likely might find it on a blog on the internet. While the other one, we might find it perhaps on a newspaper or on an article review webpage. Okay. So finally, whenever you are writing a review, there are three key elements: the purpose, why are you writing the review, what's eventually the aim for it, the audience, who do you address it for, and the language features. Is it formal or is it informal? And in terms of content, it is always important to describe the experience, make your recommendations clear. What do you recommend for this person? And give reasons for those recommendations. Offer an alternative if possible. If what you are reviewing, a book, a movie, or so, you consider is not appropriate, well, what would you recommend then? Which is the alternative? Don't be extremely negative. Always look for some constructive feedback. Which other options are there that are more positive? And always be specific and honest. So with all of that being said, it's now your turn. First, I would like you to check the following example and decide whether it is a formal or an informal review, and you would have to explain your reasons. And second, you will write your review following the directions below. This exercise has been taken from an FCE exam, which is a Cambridge exam in 2008. So let me take you to the example so that you can review it. Here it is. And then you would go to your writing exercise. That would be all for today. Thank you very much.